I was born and raised in Taiwan, and in 2018 I moved to the US for grad school. I feel like living in the States have definitely changed my life. It helps me break out of my comfort zone and box really intensely. My work captures densely layered narratives that expand out onto the painting surface, like a biological system, or like an epic tale, or even a diagram. And the conflicts that cover, like good and evil. I mean, like what is the good and what is the evil? Who gets to say? That kind of battle. And the struggle for individual and collective identity. A woman finding her place in the world and struggling with her spiritual and sexual identity. And basically how these aspects find peace together, as well as how they are at war, incorporating symbolism that bridges the East and the West. So women depicted alongside snake imagery in mythology and religious text across cultures is just very common. And I feel like the Ouroboros that talks about self-destruction and rebirth simultaneously, that is aligned with the female body that brings power and disgrace, love and hatred. So it's like a double-edged sword that we just all have to deal with. I primarily work on silk. I paint on silk. And every time I paint on silk, I have to be reminded that it's definitely made in a very contemporary setting. It's so different, from what the silk used to be made and what it the meaning behind it, this profound and significant meaning behind it. So there's definitely a difference, and I feel like that's kitsch to me because, especially after Western influence and consumerism has become a kitschy, the silk just become a kitschy material. When I'm making my work, I feel like I'm almost doing my own alchemy to mix the East and West. And I think in general, Western alchemy is to focus on how to make gold. But on the other hand, Eastern alchemy is just to find a way how to be immortal. So basically, external alchemy, they will find ways to make elixirs, or internal alchemy, which you view your body as a furnace. And so if you go to the park and see elderly people doing some qigong, some breathing exercises, that's a part of the internal alchemy. Taiwan, for hundreds of years of history, we have been colonized by different culture. So Taiwan today, especially, I feel like it's definitely a multicultural place almost. And a lot of my visual languages, the cultural influences, is definitely from Buddhism and Taoism, because in Taiwan, specifically major, we have major believers that are from Taoism and Buddhism. But a lot of my themes is Christianity, because I was raised Christian. At least church where I grew up can be a little bit institutional, and it definitely adapts the repressive nature and define gender roles in Taiwan in general. When it comes to the appearance of my characters in my paintings, it's definitely a reference from ancient Chinese painting and those Japanese woodblock prints where they have whiter skins, or even blank, just a blank white. It's idolizing that kind of white, light skin situation. If you look at masks of clowns, or when they do makeup of clowns and jokers, they all have this white and exaggerate the red cheeks behind it. And especially in Beijing opera facial masks, I feel like that's really interesting and kind of have a reference there. And I have to learn to see the funny side of negative things from a female point of view. Imperfection and self-deprecation, it's something women all struggle with. Yeah, and even with the fairy tale reference and the clown reference of the red cheeks and white face. Like it's that duality that I love to comment on. Because I feel like in a way pop culture is about making idols so people can find belongings emotionally and spiritually. And in my work, I comment on idols a lot. We all have our own priority and things we care about the most. And I think whatever that is, it's your idol, it's your God. Whether it's a person, money, justice, or even art. A virgin wizard is a contemporary culture thing in Taiwan, where some people make fun of themselves and their close friends when they are still a virgin in their 20s, because apparently like they're saving it for having superpowers. And this urban mythology originally comes from a manga series by Owada Hideki. Basically in a story, if one is a virgin at 20 years old or 25, they are qualified to be an intern wizard, and at about 25 or 30, like you become a formal wizard. I particularly love Bosch and one of his most famous painting, The Garden of Earthly Delights. And it's just full of fantastic creatures who I find so fascinating. You can just spend hours looking at them. And I think like the world has interpreted his work into like a warning against lust and the pursuit of physical pleasure.
其实，在楼下跟你妈在聊天，你妈的反应看得出来，就是那个反应。
对吧？
然后我就跟她说，可是就是真的很好，因为你妈真的很好。然后我就是真的很喜欢，然后我妈就真的吗？她说翻着你从高中到现在的作品，怎么会越画越歪了？